The storm raged outside as 5 strangers arrived at the Rosewood Inn, a majestic yet eerie hotel perched high in the mountains, miles away from civilization. Each guest had their own reason for staying, some seeking solitude, others a brief escape from their lives. As the thunder cracked and the rain beat against the windows, the innkeeper, a frail old man named Mr. Hale, greeted them with a slow, unsettling smile. "This will be your home for the night," he said. His voice, low and gravelly, sent a shiver down their spines, but the guests shrugged it off. Exhaustion had overtaken them, and all they wanted was warmth and rest. They noticed the hotel's grand halls and intricate decor, as though it had been preserved from another era. But there was something off, something unspoken. The air felt thick, almost oppressive, as though the walls themselves were watching. As the night progressed, strange things began to happen. John, a businessman who had come to escape his failing marriage, noticed his watch had stopped ticking. He reset it, but minutes later the hands froze again. It was 2:47 a.m., and it stayed that way. Marie, a young artist, sat by her window and watched the rain, only to see her reflection in the glass blink, though she hadn't. She backed away, her heart racing. Across the hall, Leo, a travel blogger, tried to sleep, but an eerie tapping sound echoed from behind his walls, growing louder and louder until it felt like a heartbeat in his head. By the time the clock struck 3 a.m., they realized something was terribly wrong. Hours had passed, yet the night never ended. It remained pitch black outside. No hint of dawn, no sign of the storm letting up. The hotel's ancient grandfather clock in the lobby struck 3, but with each chime the walls seemed to tremble, like the hotel itself was breathing. When they tried to leave their rooms the next morning, if morning even existed, the hotel had changed. Hallways that led to the lobby the night before now twisted in strange, impossible ways. The doors of the rooms seemed to appear and vanish. The wallpaper shifted colors, and the floor creaked with unseen footsteps. Panic set in as they realized that every time they turned a corner, they ended up back where they started. It was as if the hotel was a living, breathing entity, rearranging itself to trap them inside. It seemed to respond to their fear, the walls groaning and closing in as their desperation grew. John attempted to call his wife, but the phone only emitted static. Leo tried opening a window, only to find that it led to another hallway instead of the outdoors. Every exit was an illusion. Every step took them deeper into the labyrinth of the hotel's ever-changing structure. As they wandered through the endless maze, they began hearing voices, whispers that came from the walls themselves. At first, they thought it was their imagination, but the voices became clearer, urging them to stay, to give in to the hotel's embrace. "Stay with us," the voices hissed, soft but insistent. Marie, more sensitive to the supernatural, felt an overwhelming presence follow her as she moved. It felt as though eyes were watching her, shadowy figures moving just out of sight, appearing in the corners of mirrors and behind cracked doors. When she opened one door, she found a version of herself, pale and lifeless, staring back. Desperate, they regrouped in what seemed to be the lobby, but the doors had vanished, replaced by a massive portrait of the innkeeper, Mr. Hale, his hollow eyes following their every movement. "Where is he?" John asked, but no one had seen Mr. Hale since their arrival. It was as if he had disappeared into the shadows. Determined to find a way out, the group began searching for answers. In the basement, behind a locked door, they found old records and journals that revealed the hotel's dark history. Decades ago, the Rosewood Inn had been the site of countless strange disappearances. Guests would check in but never check out, vanishing without a trace. In one of the journals, they discovered a cryptic entry from a previous guest. "The hotel feeds on fear, it lures you in, and once you enter, it never lets you leave. The walls shift, the night never ends, and the shadows consume your soul, and escape is impossible unless you make the ultimate sacrifice." Marie, shaking, realized the hotel wasn't just alive, it was hungry. It fed on their terror, manipulating their surroundings to keep them trapped and scared. But what was the ultimate sacrifice? As the hours stretched into eternity, the hotel began to tighten its grip. The whispers turned into screams. The shifting halls grew more twisted, and rooms that once felt spacious now felt like claustrophobic coffins. Shadows moved independently, closing in, breathing down their necks. Then Mr. Hale reappeared, standing in the lobby, his face pale and gaunt, almost inhuman. "The hotel must be fed," he whispered, his voice echoing with 1,000 others. "One of you must stay, forever. Only then will the others be freed." The guests exchanged panicked glances, but deep down they knew the truth. Someone had to make the ultimate sacrifice, to be consumed by the hotel, their soul bound to it for eternity. Only then would the others have a chance to escape. As they struggled with their decision, the hotel's power grew stronger. Leo, driven mad by the endless whispers and shifting rooms, offered himself up. "I'll stay," he whispered. "I can't take it anymore." But the hotel wasn't satisfied. It demanded more. A true sacrifice of life and soul. With no other choice, John, realizing that escape meant one of them had to die, decided to take matters into his own hands. With a broken chair leg, he stabbed Leo, offering him up to the hotel. The walls trembled, the shadows recoiled, and for a moment it seemed like the hotel had accepted the offering. The doors reappeared, the hallways shifted back to their original form, and the whispers faded into silence. But as John, Marie, and the others rushed toward the exit, the clock struck 3. Once again, the walls began to close in around them, and a terrible realization dawned on them. The hotel had never intended to let them leave. Months later, new guests arrive at the Rosewood Inn, greeted by Mr. Hale, as gaunt and unsettling as ever. As the night falls, they are unaware of the faint whispers echoing through the halls, nor the shadows that seem to watch from the corners. The hotel waits, hungry once more.